What's up, guys? So today I'd like to talk about how I and also anybody could go about preparing a training program and a plan to get them to row as fast as possible while only training 5 to 6 times per week, which in my experience, in reality, for most kind of masters rowers out there, non-university student, people with working jobs. That's kind of the sweet spot, and also kind of the amount of sessions. I think if you do it right, you can get be very very effective with your time, and you can do make some really big improvements. One thing I'm always kind of not always, but an idea I have at the back of my head is to do what I'm going to talk about today on myself and see how fast I can get with it and see, maybe how low can I get my ERC score. But that's certainly perhaps a project for another day. But what I'm going to do is go through in detail how you can, within 6 sessions a day, roughly, sorry, 6 sessions a day, 6 sessions a week, 45 minutes to 90 minutes, regardless of your age or experience, how you can make the most of that. So, the big thing about making the most of sort of this non full time training program is not just looking at the sessions themselves, but looking at the longer term plan. And if anybody that's followed my stuff for a long time will know that there's massive value in longer term planning. So to explain it simply, it's essentially just planning recovery that isn't just a day within your calendar, ideally like a week. And yeah, it's often just people go wrong and they think one day off is enough. But basically, it needs to be like a week. Simple, very simple approach. Just make sure you get rested 1 week every 4 to 6 weeks. How do you get rested? You basically do less training, do less volume. That's the main thing. You can keep some intensity there. But that would be the first thing. A very simple approach to long-term planning. And then those other weeks, you can really build and push your volume. And when you get this right, you have a very good balance of being energized for your harder weeks when you push, and being motivated for them, and being able to complete the high intensity at a high quality. That's a sign that you've got the balance of your longer term planning right. A big sign that you don't have your long term planning right is if you're plateauing, is if you are struggling to hit high intensity performance is quite like of a high standard, and it's also if you're demotivated, if you're finding it's a bit of a slog to get on the erg or go out on the boat, those are some big signs for us. So often, when we bring people on and we get them results pretty quickly, there's some little tricks and stuff you can do technique wise, session wise, but the big thing is often just making sure people get recovered. And people don't do rowing because it's easy, they do it because it's hard. And the harder part sometimes is just making sure you have enough rest. So to start off, that's the big first step, is make sure that you rest enough. Moving forward, again, kind of segueing off the back of that, like longer term planning, you'd also want to make sure that you have an idea of where your weak areas are. So when you're 4 weeks away from a competition, you want to do race prep work. If you're doing a 2K, 3x1K, for example, and you're far away, you want to work on your weak areas. And again, these concepts, these things you should be thinking about are ways that you maximize those 6 sessions per week. So getting this nailed is like very important. So how do you find out your weak areas? You can look at the split of your training for your max power, your 2K power, your 5K power. Go into the concept too. We'll collect our own data with this and do it in our own way. But you can also just go into the concept to website and look at the world records. Don't look at the 1Ks, but look at the 2Ks, the 5Ks, and the 30 rate 20s, and look at those trends. and then use that sort of model. You can pick your age as well. It's better if you maybe modeled it off of all the results, and yeah, if you could just get an idea roughly of what the split's like, and if your 5K is relatively slower than your 2K compared to what the world records are, it's a sign perhaps your endurance could be better and you need to spend some time doing more endurance work. At the same time, one thing to be conscious of is that sometimes when your endurance is weak and you're better at the higher power stuff, then it's not just a case of doing the opposite. It's working at working at the high power stuff, even when you're good at high power, can still be something that benefits you, which kind of goes to my next point of look at your data and figure out what training's working for you. And if you're performing well, if your numbers are indicating that you're performing well, then your training's working. If your numbers are not saying you're performing well, then your training's not working. So yeah, you can use your UT2 power, you can use your high intensity performance. If you know sort of baseline sessions that you normally do, a 30 rate 20 is a good one. If you used our like free sessions that we give out as well, you can work backwards from the 2K predicted form as well. Like when you put in your 2K score and then it gives you splits, you can work backwards from that and work out what your 2K form is using some of those sessions. But yeah, so that's the broader philosophy around the longer term planning. Moving into the specific stuff, look, very simple here. A general training program for 6 sessions a week, I would do 4 of those days would be cardio only. They would be either erging or in the boat. So I won't talk about specific erg training or boat training, just assume it's interchangeable. It depends on how much you want to focus on one or the other. It's not that relevant for maximizing these 6 sessions a week. But I'd make sure 4 of those are low intensity. 4 of those are cardio, and then within that, I would do 2 to 3 would be low intensity, and then probably the other 1 or 2 would be high intensity. The other 2 sessions of the week, I would make them weights. The other thing that you can start to do once you get used to this sort of training style, you can start to add on, if you're very effective with your weights training, if you're very like on the ball and you don't want to focus on weights as much, you can get a really good strength session in within 30 minutes, 45 minutes if you don't piss about like going on your phone like all the kids at my local gym do and sit there and go on TikTok. You can be very time effective. So let's just walk through kind of an average week. So Monday you could do a low intensity erg. Tuesday you could do weights. If it was me, I would probably add on a bit of extra either UT2 onto the end of that or some high intensity. That would maybe be my high intensity day as well. If not, if you just wanted to do weights only, then I would do high intensity on the Wednesday, and then either UT2 or UT1 on the Thursday, and then weights again on the Friday. And then I'd probably do high intensity on the Saturday, or low intensity. So basically I would do, let's break it down where you're not doing the joint weights and erg sessions together, where it's strictly 2 days for weights training and the other 4 days are like cardio. If I was far away from a competition and I wanted to work on UT2, I would have, I would do say 1 high intensity day. So say Wednesday could be a high intensity day. I would do Tuesday and Friday could be weights, and then Monday, Thursday, and Saturday would be either UT2 for 2 of those or UT1 for 1 of those. If I was to be as time effective as possible, I would probably try and have my high intensity sessions after or before the weights. So I would do Monday UT2, Tuesday weights and high intensity, Wednesday UT2, Thursday UT1 probably, Friday I do weights and high intensity, and then Saturday I do I do a long session, as long as I could get in, to be honest, and then work that within the longer term plan. Again, being time effective as you get closer to a competition, you can maybe drop those weights down to like 1 session a week, but you can hold on to some strength doing once a week, but you will, after a few weeks, you will start to lose some strength. But yeah, I mean, I think that pretty much covers it. The big thing is the long-term plan and the recovery. Some more specific, sorry, I've got a squeaky chair. I'm up here in Aberdeen, in a kind of second home base where Pauline's doing her medicine studies. But anyways, yeah, where was I? For the splits, for figuring out what your splits are, make sure, okay, simple approach, do it off heart rate. Most people probably will sit around 130 to 140 for proper low intensity work for their heart rate. As you get kind of a bit older, maybe 50, 60, 70s, you maybe want to be a bit lower, around 125 or 135, but your lower end doesn't drop that much compared to your peak heart rate. That would be the other thing as well. I'd make sure that I would do. Yeah, I'd cycle through that in a long-term plan, and just train friggin' consistently and keep doing that. And, you do train 6 times, on those UT2 sessions. I'd be really, in the big weeks, I'd be pushing the volume. I'd be trying to get as much volume in as I could when we were in the heavy weeks. So pushing to 70, 80, 90 minutes. If it was me, if I had 90 minutes to train with, that's what I'd be doing. And then likewise in the recovery weeks, I'd chop that volume right down. I'd maybe throw in an extra day off, maybe make it 30 minutes UT2. I'd maybe take the high intensity sessions, make them a bit easier, and cycle through like that, and just keep rolling through. The hard part is, when you start to do that and you get good at it, it's kind of finding the areas for taking it to the next level. But yeah, the areas that people would probably screw up with are not recovering enough, not having their zones right, not training consistently, and maybe getting injured as well. But yeah, I don't know. This was a suggestion from a comment on the other video, so if people like this stuff, I'll keep doing it because it's so easy. This is just me spitballing off the top of my head here. And, I'm up in Aberdeen right now. It's actually so much easier to just hit record, no scripting, no editing, no me cutting out the uhs, which I used to do all the time, which took so long. And me just go bleh and give you guys my experience and my knowledge, and hopefully you can find good use of it. But yeah, a lot of bits for you to go away and take away, if you found it helpful. Sorry, I thought the recording button wasn't on there. I shot myself. If you found it useful, give it a like and subscribe. If you want more content like this, if you have any questions about some of the stuff I talked on, each one of those things I talked about was another video. So finding your zones, or longer term planning, or recovery, or weights. Literally let me know, because it was somebody else who commented on the last video. That is the reason I made this video. So comment, let me know. Yeah, okay, right. I'm about to have my dinner now, so I'm gonna go. I just finished a run and I had a shower and I'm hungry, and that's why I'm starting to fade here. So goodbye everybody. Smash that like button.